Township of Cohasset, January 6th, reorganization and regular meeting.
All right, I will call this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Express Times and Star Gazette, satisfying the Open Public Meeting Act. If we could please stand for a silent prayer and flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First order of business will be to swear in Sal Vangeli for. You got one? I already did it. Yep. To swear in Sal Vangeli for a 3-year term. So Sal, yeah, actually, if you want to read it, I'll hold the Bible for him. Okay. Or Sal, if you want to come over here, we'll.
We set him some kind of record here.
Yeah, he's getting sworn in on digital Bible.
Okay, I'll hold that for you. Put left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Face the crowd. There we go. I, Anthony Vangeli,
I, Anthony Vangeli,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and I will bear true faith
I will bear true faith
and allegiance to
and allegiance to
the same
the same
and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will impartially
that I will impartially
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
to perform all the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council member
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know.
You pass that down to Frank for me. Okay, the first order of business of the council shall be to elect a council president to serve in the absence of the mayor. So do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mary Van Loo for council president.
Is there a second for that?
So moved.
Okay, so we have an appointment for Councilwoman Van Loo. Okay, Becker,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Van Loo,
Yes, I'll vote for myself.
Vangeli,
Yes.
and Kern.
Yes. Okay, department heads to go through the end of the year. I'm going to keep them the same. I think everyone handled their roles efficiently and very well. So, what was that?
Law and public safety.
Yeah, I mean, just for records, Frank is administration and finance, and Mary's law and public safety. But as for our code book, this is actually the correct terminology. Yeah. So that will be the same. Resolutions. Does anyone have any issue taking these all together?
Yeah, I've got some questions on the appointments.
Oh, for resolutions, not for, oh, for the attorney, okay.
The grant writer, have we had, there's an $11,500 retainer arrangement with her, or him or her, I don't know who it is. Is that something, do we get grants written every year by this person? We have to pay that regardless of whether we have grants?
I saw that we had budgeted for it, but we really used very little of that money. So I guess there wasn't a lot of action done. And it must be by when the work is done, that's when you get paid.
If we apply for any grants and they would do any work, then we would be paid.
But would they get paid the 11.5 or would it be just time to, because it seems to be.
No, they
written-
wouldn't get paid the 11.5 because they got a little bit. There was a little bit that was
But
already spent.
I'm just asking, I mean, it could be in practice, that's the way it's working. But it says, proposes a not to exceed fee of
Not to exceed
11.5.
11.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Frank, I think they submitted a proposal and it was an hourly rate not to exceed 11.5. I think that was the RFP proposal from the grant writer. This was one, we did do an RFP for the grant writer, and I know there was a written proposal, so I think the answer to the question is if I recall.
So we don't have to pay that unless it's
It was
work.
an hourly with a not to exceed that number, I believe, wasn't it, Wanda?
Yeah.
Yes. So that.
And then if you apply for grants that we get them, then there's extra fees that could accumulate for their mailings and all that kind of stuff. that they
It
would have to do.
wasn't a block grant.
Okay, good. The other question I have is labor attorney and attorney. Your attorney's RFP had negotiations in it, and we have the separate labor attorney for negotiations. Do we need both?
My thought would be, Frank, is, it doesn't hurt you to have both because unless until you decide, you can use mine, which I put a certain number of hours in my. normal
40 hours,
So that you
right.
guys would hopefully be able to plan, given that you have a tough budget. But if at any point in time you feel you want to go to a specialist, at least you have that retainer. Because once again, he's not.
There's no
requirement. There's no requirement to use him. It's just he's there if you want to use him. So I see it as no harm foul to do the labor attorney and use me as you feel appropriate and go to him if and when you feel it's appropriate.
Is it almost that way, except for maybe our, maybe you, which we have a retainer, is it that way with all these arrangements? I mean, I think the
Yeah, I mean,
auditor, I
on
think, there's a
council,
flat fee.
obviously, he only gets paid specifically when he does a bond ordinance or something like that. So again, there's no specific committed sum for bond counsel, grant writer, planner. I think there probably is, there might be a specific salary there. I'm not sure.
No, there
No,
isn't.
it's based on
That's
hourly
hourly,
rate.
Really.
So really, other than myself and the prosecutor and public defender, there's base salary, base retainers there. Everything else is has you use.
Okay. That's all I have on that. The next one, the designating newspaper. I know I've talked about this before. Do we need two newspapers,
That's the law.
Yeah.
even if we're using the web?
That's right.
They haven't amended that statute to make that an official notice spot yet.
Yeah,
There's a bill.
Those sections
There's a
of
bill.
the papers.
In the Star Gazette, we can't just go with the Star Gazette because they don't publish frequently enough. So unfortunately, we still need the express times for certain.
They're pretty expensive.
Right, Star Gazette.
The next thing was the setting the meeting dates. I think we talked about in December, changing the meetings around the end of November and beginning of December, so they're not just a week apart.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we can move the November meeting up a week or two.
What week is the,
Before is the league. That's why I made it the 24th.
what's the week before?
The 11th or
Yeah.
the 10th.
That would be a land use board meeting.
Well, we set first though, right?
Like, it would be November 3rd and the 18th, I think it is, or the 17th. The 3rd is election day.
Yeah.
The 10th?
17th is the week of the League of Municipalities Conference.
How about the 10th?
It also does not.
Why can't we do it on the 10th?
It does not have to be on a Tuesday. You don't forget either. You can always set one.
Well, why don't we just, why don't we do ours on the 11th, and if the land use needs to meet, whatever that Tuesday is.
That would be the 10th.
So you want to have the 11th, all right, so we're going to
Yeah, because Veterans Day, they don't do on the traditional day, right?
No,
They do that on a Monday, so.
Yeah. it would be the Monday.
So we're going to make it, what day is that? November 10th?
I believe so.
No, it's just for,
November the 10th, then. Okay.
Right.
okay.
But then it just makes it more efficient.
November 11th.
Yeah, 10th is a Tuesday. Veterans Day is 11th. Okay. And that's all I have.
Okay. Well, with that amendment to that resolution, is there a motion to approve all the resolutions together?
I'll second that.
Okay. Becker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Van
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. All right, appointments for several positions on here. I guess we'll take them as a motion and a vote because some do require council approval. So we'll just do it as one slate unless people want to take individual ones by vote, but I don't see any.
I just had a question on that. No,
What about Louis Mellinger? Didn't he quit?
No,
the judge.
that's the judge.
Oh, which gentleman quit and then he wanted his job back? That's in the court system.
No, that was, Sal, that was the public defender.
Oh,
That was the-
was
yeah.
public
And that's a-
defender
And it wasn't, she didn't, she thought she'd be getting another job and she gave us notice
right.
and then she rescinded it and it was, nothing ever happened with that. But this is for the judge. Lou Mellinger's the judge.
I'm not sure whether the no is still applicable. I think we've probably gone enough years, Frank. I think you were going to ask about that. There probably is nobody left that needs an extended. Just you? Just
me.
the last one?
Yep.
So.
I don't know if you want.
Yeah. Is that optional?
We would just need a motion and a second to appoint to approve the list of individuals on the mayor's appointment.
All right, well, I'll move that list.
I'll second it.
Okay. Becker?
Yes.
Black?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Jelly?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. All right. Public comment on agenda items. This is for agenda items only. Is there any public comment on any agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the November 25th meeting minutes. Was everyone at that meeting, Wanda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I have
My
a,
only question on that is, one of them, I'm not sure we should approve these, because the PBA grievance, by way of example, is still pending. So I don't know, I think these should probably be tabled until that's removed, because we don't usually adopt executive session minutes until the subject matter is resolved. Everything else on here,
Well, the minutes could be approved, Kevin, we just won't release them.
well,
until-
once these minutes are approved, then they're operable. That's the basic rule on executive session minutes. So my thought would be, you can approve them as is, and we can just remove the executive session portion regarding the PBA agreements, and then you can just redact that. Does that work for you? That one should be continued.
Well, I always thought it was that they had to be approved because your governing body members could change. Like,
No,
if you wait
they-
too long to do it.
No, that
and then
has a
there
lot
would
that
be
are
no
unreleased.
situation, Like, once the matter is resolved, then they're public.
No, they don't have to be done
Okay.
in any particular time frame, and I think, and again, there are townships who intentionally sit on their executive session minutes for a long time. I don't think that's correct either.
Okay,
But I do think just in this instance, it kind of
with the note,
defeats the purpose of maintaining certain confidentiality of discussions on certain matters, like a grievance or a contract if it's still pending. So I would say go ahead and take action, and we'll just remove that one for now. And we'll put that, if you could just carry that on a separate minutes, or a
Okay.
separate list or something, okay?
yep,
Okay.
And then you can pass it, the rest of them are issues that
okay.
are, I think, well, the DPW is also pending, but I don't see anything in this particular note that is in any way, anything that hasn't been discussed with them.
I've got a question on the minutes in general. I mean, there's 16 pages of minutes here. They're very thorough and very well done. But given that we now have the ability to put the video conference on the web, on our website. I mean, do we need to have the minutes in this level of detail?
Well, these are executive session, they're never going to be.
No, I'm talking about the regular.
Regular minutes. Well, I think that's up to each individual clerk, you know, and as long as one is comfortable taking the time to do it. I mean, there is definitely an obligation to maintain minutes. You actually don't have to maintain the tapes, but the written minutes are your legal record. So my thought, Frank, is, you know, down the road, as tapes are removed or destroyed, if you have to go back 10 years, which I just had to do actually for another township to look at an issue, some comprehensive minutes actually sometimes can be used because the recorded video record might be gone.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
sort
no,
of
it's
torn
kind of
myself. I mean, frankly, I mean,
Yeah.
personally, the minutes were very helpful to me.
They are.
When I was running for election, people said I was was pro-sprawling development, and I was able to pull minutes that said I wasn't.
Right.
And,
I think I've always liked the way Wanda does her minutes. I think, you know, it helped her with the computer. It
All right.
spits them out quicker than I can believe them. So.
It does take a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time.
But I mean, it's,
But then maybe there's a happy medium in here. I mean, these are almost verbatim.
yeah, if you want to reduce them a little bit, that's up to you, Wanda.
Yep. I'll do it for the next time. See how.
Yeah, you know, I have no problem with you going smaller. That's up to you.
No, I just try to go more
Yeah.
detailed when there's things that I think could be an issue going forward
Yeah.
that
They are good.
helps to clarify.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So are we gonna, there are public meetings.
We can move the
But
executive.
not the executive.
Okay, so we can approve the public portion of those meeting minutes then. So is there a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Second it.
Okay, Becker,
Yes?
Slack,
Yes.
Van Loo, Vangelli,
Yes.
Kern.
Yes. Motion to pay the bills presented in proper form, signed by the director of each department and approved by the majority of the members listed on the bill list.
So moved.
No, it's not me. I don't have my list in front of me, but from memory, I think there was that item, that $1,000 fine or something. Do you remember that, Mary? That issue
penalty.
with the fire department?
Right.
Do we know anything more
Carl
about that?
McNair, answered Mary. Mary was in your mailbox, his response that the fees that they collect when they assess a fine against a company, half goes to the fire department and half comes to the fund that the fire officials fund.
Okay, but Wanda, there was no letter in my box.
It was a copy of the statute or a page.
I didn't get anything like that, and I always look for one else. Unless you just put it in.
Mm-mm. No, before Christmas,
Oh, no.
like right after the last meeting. And Carl had a copy of the statute.
Well,
What is it?
so basically the municipality collects on behalf of two agencies and then we have to pay that agency with the funds that we collect, is that?
There was say a $2,000 fine, and half of that comes to the municipality, half of that goes to the fire company. So that $1,000 payment that you see is for us transferring the money that we received 100%.
Yeah.
50% to the fire company.
It's like we collect all the taxes for the town and then distribute them to
The county and
county, the school and whatever. The way to, yeah.
But what was the penalty for? It says Q-check, quick check?
Oh, it was quick check, yeah.
Who paid the fine?
Quick check.
Quick check.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other question from memory, I don't have the exact list here, was the leaf pickup notices. Is that a legal requirement that we have to make 4 notices for leaf collection totaling $1,325?
Advertise every single.
Do we have to do that?
could get it back, but
I mean, it's $1,300. That's 10% of the total cost.
I believe they got.
you want to do it just once
Up.
next year?
Once.
The only thing I'm wondering is
We get a
some of those
discount.
notices may be required as part of our general commit for DEP. Is part of that, there's like the community service
I
things
don't
you
know.
might have. We can ask Glenn that.
I think we have to do it. I know we have to do it. But maybe we could just do it once or twice instead and cut it back.
Yeah, I
Because
think
it
that
is
would,
on the website too, but people, and then we put it in the, I tell the school to put it in the smoke signals so their parents know. But it's just a lot of,
money.
yeah, it is a lot of money.
And then the higher gruel pig, that's preservation and incentive grants. What are you
Yes.
doing with that? So we can continue to get grants for preservation.
For
For farmland preservation.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you.
All right, so Sal has a motion. Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay, Becker?
So moved.
Black?
Yes.
Van Loo? Yes. Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes. All right, moving on to the attorney's report.
I don't really have anything for the reorganization meeting, Mayor. We have things that are going on, but nothing that's, nothing has changed from the last meeting today. So I'll start, as I said, this year I'm going to start trying to give you guys an advance written report, just kind of giving you a quick summary so you guys can keep track of things like that.
Thank you, Kevin. Township Council reports, and we will begin with Frank.
Obviously, a big subject is the budget. I've said before, and I continue to say that, you know, it's going to be a tight year. We'll go into that a little bit more later, but the headlines are we don't have the red light camera money. We haven't had the Alpha police revenue for a few years. Our surplus is being used up, and it's going to be a tight year. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. You may have saw in the paper that I stated that in prior meetings, and in the paper quoted me as saying that. The historic committee, we haven't met since our last meeting, but we did get a note from Michael Margulies. Again, I guess pleading tolerance for enforcement of our maintenance, our home maintenance requirements. I guess we've been eager to get some of these places cleaned up, and the historic committee wants us to be careful that we don't demolish historic structures. That's about all I can say about that. And there hasn't been any other news on the historic front. That's all I have.
Thank you, Frank. Dave?
The Environmental Commission, we haven't met since our last council meeting. I don't believe there's not a whole lot going on there. The only project they're working on really is the community garden up at the old Shimer School. We'll have reorg, I suppose, at our next meeting. Other than that, there's nothing really going on with the Environmental Commission. I can give the DPW report from the 16th till now. They continue to crack tar the roadways. They continue to clean leaves off the catch basins and out of the drain pipes throughout the township. They blew off the leaves on roadways and grade road edges at different locations in the township. They cleaned up the trash bags that the plat program had done throughout the township. They plowed and salted township roadways on the 3rd and the 6th of this month. They power washed all the equipment used to deal with the snowstorms. They did truck maintenance on all the trucks after snow plowing. They cleaned the DPW garage in preparation for the rabies clinic. And they chipped up Christmas trees at the DPW yard. Other than that, that's all I have for the Public Works report. The land use, we did actually have a meeting at the end of the year last year. It was a brief meeting. We had a resignation, and we did a little bit of, not a whole lot. We just met and briefly discussed some things. There was RFPs were put out for both professional services on the land use board. And I believe we will deal with those issues at our next meeting. Other than that, I don't really have anything else, Mayor, other than that.
Great, thank you. Mary?
Okay, well, this past Saturday, we did have our rabies clinic. It wasn't a good turnout, but then again, the roads were tricky, so I'm sure a lot of people decided to stay home. You do not have to be a resident to go to one of these rabies clinics. Because we had people here from like Washington Township and people from Lopakon, besides our Lopakon residents. But we did give shots to 27 dogs and 6 cats. And for your license, and also licensing was done that day too. Our form for licensing your dog is on the website, and January is the big push month, depending upon when your rabies shots are. They have to be up to date before you can get your license. I would like to thank the road department for doing a nice job of setting up for us, and Dr. Epley is our veterinarian who gives the shots. Of course, Vince, our ACO person, and then our helpers who are very important. We had Lorraine and Sue writing licenses, and Sophia, so writing the rabies certificates. So even though it wasn't a great turnout, it was a very congenial time. It was. Seeing all the different dogs and everything was fun. And that's pretty much it for now.
Great, thank you.
Except I do have an issue that we have to go into executive session if we aren't already called.
Yeah, okay.
Sal?
There's been quite a few accidents at the 3 intersections on Route 122 Greenwood Street and
519.
519. And we should contact Michael Doherty and tell him about all these accidents that we're having on these 3 intersections. Maybe he could get the New Jersey State Police to spend a lot more time there and do the investigating. He's the guy that, took the red light camera money away from us, didn't want no cameras, and we're having all these accidents up there.
As an addendum to that, and at our next meeting, we'll get a report on the red light cameras.
I'll pick them up tomorrow. I saw Jeff about that too. Those 3 intersections are horrible. Now, the houses that are in bad shape, they're still in bad shape. Kevin, what do we have to do with these homes that have holes in them, in the roofs, that we could drive a Mack truck through them?
Yes.
Well, that really needs to be the construction official. Would need to pursue, issuing, if it's bad enough where you're talking about, boarding things up and or, condemning things. Are these occupied?
Oh, no, they're not.
Yeah,
Good
so
heavens.
you have to get a declaration of unsafe structure ultimately at the end of the day.
Well, he condemned the houses, but year after year, these houses look alike. I mean, there's no changes there.
Right.
It looks horrible. They're bad.
Yeah.
They're unsafe.
I mean, I don't know that we're going to, as a township, we're going to go up on top of a roof and patch a
No,
roof. But I mean,
no.
we do have authority, and if it's been a declaration of unsafe structure, you can certainly board up windows, board up doors. In other words, keep the attractive nuisance elements away from it in terms of kids or somebody getting into the building. But beyond that, there's not really, unfortunately, a lot you're going to do. If they're unoccupied like this, if any of them have open taxes, we can foreclose them. Once we do that, we could then, knock them down and auction them off or something. That would be.
You know, it's a disgrace to the
Yeah.
township. These houses, they are in bad shape.
Yeah. It's extremely rare that a township ever undertakes the expense to actually demolish a structure. And it's kind of what you're talking about. And it's not economically feasible for your budget, and it's a lot of hoops to jump through from a legal standpoint because it's still not our property. So I'll check with our tax assessor and see, again, or collector, if any of those properties.
Carrie would have a list.
Yeah, if Carrie, I'll double check. I usually once a year I get together with Carrie and see if there's anything on our delinquent tax list that we have a certificate for. If it's any of those structures, I'll come back to you guys, and then it would be worth pursuing a tax foreclosure, which is not expensive. And once we get title, then taking care of the eyesore and then auctioning the property off makes some sense. So I'll get together with Carrie, Sal, and see if there's anything we can do with it. We might have tax sale certificates on something.
The Shimer School, our budget is tight. Why don't we sell it?
So
Go ahead, tell me.
it's going to be discussed, and it will be discussed in executive session.
Okay. Because
Yes, I
it's
understand.
becoming a burden on us. We have to maintain this property, and we've got to do something with that Shimer School.
So,
What about the house behind VIP Cleaners? What are we going to do with that?
Shimer Manor.
Shimer Manor house.
Not ours, Sal.
Yeah, but it's deteriorating. It looks like heck. Because we should do something with it.
So I don't know what you're
You
suggesting.
bring this up at every meeting.
I know I bring it up. Nothing
But I tell you the
happens.
same thing. It's not our house, it's somebody else's house. And there are people involved that they are trying to get whatever is needed to do something. Now, other than that, can't say any more than that. And bringing it up at every meeting won't change it.
I'll tell you what, the taxpayers shouldn't have to put up with that.
The taxpayers don't have to.
It's not our house, Sal.
It looks like hell. Okay, what Shimer School will be discussed.
Yeah, and
And the three intersections, now what are we going to do about those three intersections with the state? They're so dangerous.
Why don't you wait?
Let's come with some firm commitment.
the
here.
one intersection has already been handled by the state. And that would be 122 and 22, where they put in the new traffic lights, they put in
Yeah.
the new signage. they
There's
put
still
the
a
things on
lot of
whatever.
accidents there.
So, and the other one, 519, of course, that just stopped December 16th. So,
There's still accidents.
Well, why don't you
there,
wait to
too.
see the chief's report
right.
before you do anything?
And Greenwich Street has always been a problem ever since it was done.
Chief, can you circulate that to all of council when you, thank you. Anything else, Sal?
Nothing.
Thank you. Okay. First, Kevin, I just had a quick question, housekeeping. With the reference to the shared court with Greenwich, was the action we took, was that appropriate? There's nothing else we need to take?
Yeah,
as far-
because, I mean, essentially, we took action after we came out of executive session to
Approve the,
make some certain draft changes and get that draft back to Greenwich. Greenwich
took
took it.
action.
They took action. They sent it down to the AOC. Again, and it's just an unsigned draft at this point that we had agreed on as
Yeah.
a township. The AOC, as is very typical, wasn't happy with it, even though it's the exact same form as I had them approve last time. I keep trying to use the same form because I'm like, everything they want is, but it's never works. They came back to, and again, the Greenwich Township attorney is kind of taking the lead with the AOC at least, because they're the court that has to move. They want a couple modest changes, circulated those. I think I might have just seen the recent one. They're housekeeping items. So I've told Frank Tadeo, their attorney, tentatively, that's fine. Make the revisions, get it down to AOC. And then when AOC comes back and says it's good, at that point, both townships can adopt a written resolution to sign
Sign it.
do a final signing
Okay.
of the final contract. So we're fine.
But the effective date, I think we were shooting for an effective date of February 1st, but they're coming back with April 1st.
April 1st.
And every day that goes by,
It's another day longer.
long. And Frank, that's nothing that we've done or Greenwich has done, to be candid with you. It's just the way the AOC works. It's
Or doesn't.
or doesn't.
So in the interim, I mean, it's not our concern, I guess, but what does Greenwich do? They're not having court then? Is that-
No, their court will continue. Our court will continue as separate courts. I expect that maybe even by our next meeting this month,
We'll have a
hopefully we'll have a
signed agreement.
finalized agreement. I sent their attorney a pro forma resolution, so we both adopt kind of the same resolution once we're there. Hopefully that's going to happen this month. I mean, I think
Okay.
it's very close. And then once that happens, then it just becomes the administrative burden of transferring records and doing all those things. I think they'll be here by spring, whether it's April 1st or April 15 or May 1. The AOC will tell us when that date is.
And then do we have to approve that resolution, or that can just be signed then, because it's been
I'll put it
approved?
on the agenda. I have it in draft.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
what I was trying,
No,
okay.
That's not
all
a
right,
problem.
all
It
right.
won't be an April 4th.
It's not an enabling ordinance that we have to go through 2 meetings.
It'll be an enabling resolution. You can do it by
But-
resolution or ordinance. Sure.
So it's one meeting.
Resolutions, you don't have to.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Kevin, you're
Good.
looking at
How
April?
long will this
Right.
course go on, because our people are going over to Greenwich to conduct their court?
The answer to Chief, April is the date that the AOC has advised Greenwich that they feel is realistic to get the joint intermunicipal agreement approved and get all their stuff changed over here. That's what they're talking about. And there's going to be a lot of work to do administratively, I mean, because they're keeping their own judge.
Right.
We have to get signage up out here. It's not, just for the benefit of the public, it's not a joint court. It's simply basically a shared facilities agreement. So they'll be maintaining their own ticket books.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask about,
All that-
security and all that type of stuff.
I mean, as far as the building goes, and maintaining records, the AOC is going to make their records be here. We're going to have our court administrator, our prosecutor, our judge for us, your police department for security,
Mhm.
for all court sessions. And then they are required contractually to maintain their judge for 2 more years. And this agreement that we're contemplating is a 3-year agreement. So whatever session is built into the mix to handle Greenwich, which I think is going to have to be worked out with, again, our court administrator,
yeah.
our current judge, prosecutor, et cetera. Hopefully it won't be a lot of extra session, because the idea is to be efficient. And that's where we'll be.
Okay.
We can't even really get into the technical aspect, but they'll maintain their own ticket books, all that stuff.
Okay.
Their police officers will come here for court. All that.
But we'll still be at the door.
Yeah, I didn't know it got pushed back until April.
And as I said, that's just a tentative date. That could be May or June by the time we're done. But as soon as we have it finalized in writing, we'll start sitting down with everybody and working out the
Get a-
details. And
I think
including your department. Okay.
All right. The other thing is, we had discussed this, Frank had brought it up too, about having a public hearing for us to submit comments to the Highlands Council. I'm thinking, if everyone's okay with next meeting, would that be, I think for time purposes, that would give us enough time to do that. And I think what we'll do is we'll have it at our meeting at 7 o'clock. We'll just start the hearing at 7 and proceed for about, no more than an hour, and then take comment and then submit that as well as our comments to the Highlands Council. So if anyone has any objection to that, if we could add that onto the agenda and then advertise, we'll put that up on the website that we'll be offering comment. Limit folks to 5 minutes, what they can say.
Will they be able to just submit written
Yeah, they
comments
could-
if they can't make
well-
the meeting?
They can do that independently
They
now.
could do that, yeah, they could submit their own.
Right, but they may want to give them to us.
No, this is for people to come and voice their opinion to us. If they want to submit, they could might as well just send it to the Highlands Council themselves. If they'll do that work, so.
Mayor, do you want me to advertise that as well?
You don't advertise because it'll be during the council meeting, but if we could,
Make note of it on the website?
Yes,
now?
exactly, thank you. Okay, and then with that, does anyone have any issue taking these resolutions together?
I do not, I would move them. There are 6 of them.
Jim, I just have one question. What's
Yes.
the designating the public agency compliance officer?
That is me, Paco.
Pardon?
Public agents, it's something the state requires that you designate the municipal clerk or your QPA or finance officers, your PACO, just to make sure that all the bids and quotes have all the specified documents, your political disclosure, business entity, business registration.
Right, okay.
If you were to put all of Wanda's titles on the,
Pretty long list.
it wouldn't fit.
We have to abbreviate it.
Yeah.
All right, that was my question. No, I'll- Good taking all of it.
Okay. So who's the motion?
I moved
And
it.
who's the second?
I'll say
Okay.
Okay. Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo? Angeli?
Yes,
Kern?
Yes. Ordinances for first reading, ordinance 15-1 to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. This is statutory as well that we have to do every year since the cap law. So we have to move that for a second reading next meeting.
All right, well, I'll move it.
Okay. Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo? Yes. Angeli?
yes,
Kern?
Yes. All right.
16.
There are no public hearing on ordinances. We'll wait for executive. Do we want to do the budget portion now? Is that, or,
I was going to say, do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to get our budget done, so I've asked Dave and the chief to see if the people were available to, or if the chief was available and DPW was available to begin discussions of the budget for 2015. And these are the 2 largest departments, so I thought we'd start with them first. I thought we'd start with DPW, if that's all right.
yeah, it's fine. Donnie, are you, I know I saw you.
Yes,
Donnie,
sure.
you available?
What were you looking for, Frank?
Well, I think we've already had preliminary discussions with the chief and with Donnie and Jeff about the budget.
Correct. We sat
And
down one-on-one before and we went over our budgets.
it's just the same thing, basically, that we did individually. You asked for an opportunity to speak in front of the town meeting, and so and the meetings we had were just between, with you, were Dave and me and you guys, and I wanted the council to have the benefit of our discussions as well, so it wasn't just us. And the meetings I had with Jeff were Mary and me with Jeff, so I wanted the whole council to have the benefit of those discussions. So it's basically just the same thing you told us, but with new information, we may, on red light cameras and the budget challenges we have, we may have some, some discussion about it with the people that haven't heard it before. So it's up to you whether, I mean, we can have you back if you're not prepared. Okay.
I thought there was supposed to have been an email, Donnie. I apologize if you guys didn't get it. I apologize.
Uh,
Basically, I think we sat down, Frank, like you had said, the group of us, and discussed what were priorities and what, maybe not so much a priority. And we can trim just so much off, without neglecting, the basic infrastructure. And I guess when it comes down to it, we'll just have to work with what we have and see where it can go.
Well,
We did discuss our equipment. Our equipment is all fairly decent. There's no real big investments that need to be made immediately. Maintain what we have to work throughout the township. But as I said, for what our discussions were, I thought we trimmed it down as far as we could. We'll have to see where that falls out.
well, I think maybe we could, I guess, do it next session then.
Yeah.
With the DPW. But I will tell you that it's going to be tight this year, and I think every area is going to have to make some concessions and some do with less than they have done and are used to doing. Because I could just give you a summary of the challenges we face. Our court revenue in 2011 was $540,000. Our court revenue in 2012 was $1.5 million. Our court revenue in 2013 was $838,000. That probably and before 2011 it was like around 150 or so. So it went up in 2011 because we had the red light cameras for a small part of the year there. Then it went up a lot in 2012 because we had 2 red light cameras. Then our 2013 it went down to $838,000 because we lost a red light camera sometime during that year. 2014 was $700,000. 2015 we're going to be back to pre-red light cameras of around $150,000 a year. So it's a huge, huge challenge without that red light camera money. And I've said it before. People say it's about safety, like Sal just talked about, and the police police chief has talked about. It is about safety, and it's also about revenue. And we've used that revenue for safety purposes. And on top of that, the police Alpha revenues, we had $564,000 of revenues from Alpha Police in 2011, $436,000 in 2012, nothing 2013, 14, 15. So we have probably the best police force that money can buy, but we don't have all the money anymore. And it's not just the police that the police is the largest item on our budget, basically. Our salary is about $2 million. $1.5 million of that is police. But the police shouldn't have to bear all the burden of these haircuts. So we're going to ask everybody to chip in to help us meet budget and to help us through this lack of revenue. But given that, I've asked Chief if we can go into, hear him out on what his needs are and what's available and how we can get through this. And I'd appreciate, I'm glad you're here and I'm glad we can talk about it. Do you want to give a summary of where we're at, Chief, or do you want?
Well, I could tell you right off the bat, I'm not asking for anything in capital. All right, we received a vehicle last year. That'll get us through for a few more years. We'll be good with that. The only thing really different, well, not even different, the only thing that I'd really be submitting is my O&E budget for 2015. It's pretty much similar to exactly what it was last year. I think it's up $200 because we had to get a new copy machine. A new copy machine with the new lease, it was an extra $200 a year. But when I did my budget, I had put in for the same amount for O&E as I did for 2014. I actually looked through it today. I'm looking at the numbers now, and one of the things I found that, you know, if I could cut a little bit would be the auto maintenance. You know, we had budgeted $20,000 for that last year. And because we did get the new vehicles and we're driving better vehicles now, obviously the auto maintenance is lower. So, you know, we could definitely trim some off of the $20,000 there. Looking at all the other stuff, what I'm trying to do is the computer programs, you know, they are what they are. We use them. The only one would be the Cody system that we use. That's a system that we use throughout the entire county. Just about every police department in Warren County is on this system. It's basically for information sharing. That's why everybody's on it. We can look at Phillipsburg, or we could look at, you know, Greenwich Township, Lopakong, whoever, anybody that's on the system. Before we had information that we can get from our MDTs, which are basically the computers inside the car, we are able to access basically what we have in-house on the desktop. We're able to do that on the MDTs. We cut that out. That saved us probably, I think it was like $6,000 savings. So our Cody expense went from about $11,000 a year, and now it is, for this year, it's $6,600. But I believe that we might be able to get the county to pay that for us. It's not guaranteed yet, but I was told that they would take care of it. So I could probably trim a little bit from the computer program. Basically looking at everything else that I have here, just basically on the O&E, the ammunition, you know, unfortunately we have to qualify. We have the rifles now. It's mandated by statute and AG guidelines that we have to qualify so many times a year. So this is basically the $8,000 will get us through that. That'll also give us a little bit extra ammunition. Not a lot, but we need to have something on hand in case we need it, in case something ever happens. We can't just have ammunition that we have in our weapons and what we have to qualify. We need to have a little bit. And that's basically, you know, that'll get us through. Looking at anything else on here, they're all pretty much small expenses. When I first took over as chief in 2012, my O&E was $108,000. Now we're down to, well, with these cuts, maybe we might be down to like maybe $71,000. So we've cut a lot of fat out. The rest of this stuff is going to be hard for me to live without, but we can trim some of this, you know, off of what I have here. And like I said, capital, I'm not asking for anything. There are things that we could use, but, you know, we'll make do with what we have. And then the only other expenses that I really have are contractual, you know, the salaries, and basically that's basically all I have for 2015.
You also do grants for some things.
Well, yeah, we receive grants. We get grants. I get a $30,000 grant, Safe and Secure grant. That's $30,000 towards my salary. We just applied for that. I think it was last council meeting on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sent that out. We did the resolution for that. Usually we get that December. Then we get it December. Hopefully we should get it in the summertime. So that'll be $30,000 that we'll get. We also apply for any grant that comes out there, we apply for. Usually every year we get the ones that I tell you guys about, the DWI grants, bulletproof vest, click it or ticket, you know, we get all that. But that's more of patrol aspect, getting officers out there. It is reimbursed, but the thing is, once it's being reimbursed, when the officers are out there, obviously any summonses or arrests that are taken care of, it's coming through this court, which is going to generate a little bit more revenue too. But like I said, any grant that's out there, we apply for it. I don't really see anything else on here. just with the O&E, but, you know, if you guys have any questions about anything else that we could live without, I mean,
Well, I think also it should be understood that when we had that Alpha Police revenue, we also had additional police officers, which we no longer have.
well, we had 4 additional. We had 4 additional police officers, which we don't pay their salaries anymore. One of them was Paul Hager, who was the highest salary in the department. We lost a sergeant, Frank Pagano, and we lost 2 top patrolmen, Anthony Goodell and Teddy Garcia.
So we had 16 employees policemen at one point?
I don't know if we had
12 now.
Right, we had 4 officers. Since Alpha, we lost 4 officers.
Is that that was the biggest it's ever been?
I don't think we've
Yes.
ever had 16, have we?
I don't know if we hired someone. No, we hired
an officer.
afterwards.
We hired an officer to replace Pagano.
Pagano, correct. Yep.
So 15.
So it was 15.
But we were still paying,
We
we had to pay for Pagano,
were
back
paying for
pay.
4 officers at one time.
Yeah, exactly. So it was technically, we paid for 16, yeah. That's right.
I think you've done an excellent job of keeping O&E as sparse as it can be. I think the problem is that O&E isn't the biggest expense. The biggest expense is salary, and it's $1.5 million. And frankly, I don't enjoy this. But I don't know that we can keep this level of staff. I just don't know how.
So what do you plan on doing?
No,
There's no public comment right now. You will have an opportunity, I'm sure.
I'm sure you had given us the numbers for the court. What year was that? Well, before the red light camera. Was that 2011 numbers?
2011 was not before. There were some red light cameras in it, but it was 540,000. I think it was about 150 before that.
But that was in 20.
And there was a high point of $1.5 million.
2010, though, is where you're saying it was 150.
Right.
All right, but that doesn't mean
I'm guessing.
2015 it's going to be that.
Our department is writing more summonses than they ever have.
And we have those cameras on the car.
Correct. License plate reader.
Chief, is there some, did I see, I don't know, maybe you know, I thought I saw just glancing at one of the legislative bulletin sheets that the league puts out. And I don't know if it had something to do with the post-Ferguson stuff, but is there going to be some enhanced camera obligations or something in some of our cars?
Well, we were just discussing, well, that would be body cameras.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
That's what they're talking about now.
Grants for that,
Well, I would imagine there's going to be
Grant followed by mandate.
yeah.
Yeah. As of right now, there's not a mandate.
We won't get it.
What we do is, obviously, we put cameras in all our cars. And it's, as far as an insurance policy, you can't beat it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, one of the things that we had talked about, one of our officers, one of the things he went through and he was accused of, thank God for the camera. You know, but, we have them in all our cars.
It's body cameras. Okay, I know I saw
I
something.
think that down the road, it's going to be mandated where everybody's probably going to have both.
I would definitely not recommend it from a legal standpoint, turning off the cameras.
Right. No, we turn more
They're
for
essential.
everything.
They're essential for your offices and the township's liability.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the chief?
I have a question for Lorraine. What's the hospitalization cost going up per employee for next year? Do you know?
It depends on the plan type. It's different for family versus husband and wife versus child and
I think the renewal rates are up about 6%. Is that what you remember from Steve
I
Barge?
think it was 7.
7%, okay. And also 2015 is the last year of the full phase-in for increased employee contributions. They've been increasing it a little each year. This is the full phase-in. I think, what is the highest? It could be up to like a third of the cost for a long service employee or for a high paid employee.
Just another note, we have 2 officers that's going to be opting out of the health care. So that'll be
That'll
a
help.
savings. That'll help a little bit.
That'll help. Thank
Lorraine, just for a point of reference, if the budget is not touched at all, like if we continue revenues and expenditures from last year's budget, where is the difference that we would have to make up to continue that?
About $985,000.
How much?
$985,000.
Okay. And then,
What's that in terms of like
no, hold on. And then, just to frame this,
That's
the,
$1 million.
now, close. Then what is the maximum with tax points with the 2% property tax cap that we are able to levy per year?
A cent is right around $35,000. So if you went up 2 cents, that would be $70,000.
And then we have a cap bank for not raising taxes that we're allowed to then dip into and make up for years that we hadn't done that. What, if we use that cap bank, what's the number then that we come in at, that we could levy?
I don't know exactly what that bank is, but that would allow you to increase a little more, but nowhere near the 900 plus thousand that you would need. That may give you another 150,000.
On top of the 70? Okay.
sorry, I just was trying to figure out what that translated to per 100,000.
Yeah, so then, that's just on the average assessed home, what is, I know I'm making you,
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm just trying to
That's
tell
right.
you how many.
Yeah.
I was that practically translates
It would be 31 cents in an increase in tax to raise the amount of money that we have a gap.
but we can't.
Right,
we
right.
can't.
It would be 30
But at the maximum that we can, it's like 6.5.
at most.
6.5, which prior to the cap law was standard for Pawhacon Township. I don't think that was out of the, I think 6 or 7% tax increases were fairly common for most municipalities in the state of New Jersey, not just Pawhacon. So what is a 7% tax on the average assessed home?
I believe the average value of an assessed home is 135,000. That may not be 100% accurate, but that's. So if you were to go up 6 cents, that would be about $81. Keep in mind that's just municipal tax.
That's the municipal portion, 35% or whatever the.
I'm going to do it again just to make sure I'm not off.
And that gets us to that 210,000 number.
Yeah.
Conceivably, if the maximum that we could go up, and then you figure in whatever the school, county, whatever their ratio is. Okay.
Just as a footnote, the overall budget from what we're predicting at 2015, from 2014, the overall actual expenditures dropped by $250,000. So there have been quite substantial cuts. The problem is that the revenues have dropped by about 1.3 million. So we're decreasing revenues a lot faster than we're decreasing the appropriations.
Part of that is also tax,
Well, yeah, that's,
declining commercial values is
Right,
particularly the Phillipsburg Mall.
right, because that was all paid out of surplus to
Correct.
save for
yeah.
bonding costs. That
Whereas
diminished
multiple
our surplus so that we don't have the $1 million to anticipate as we had in the past.
I think longer term, what we have to do is more shared services. I mean,
What's that, Frank?
I think longer term, I think what we have to do is more shared services. We've been trying, we've got our feet wet with Pawhacon, with Greenwich Court, but I mean, I think we're going to have to do more shared services, or this will just continue. And we should anyway. Why should we have 565 different municipalities doing the same thing over and over again?
As far as tax appeals, by the way, just in terms of your budget, there's only really one outstanding right now of any significance, and that's Raymore and Flanagan. We're working through that one. It should resolve it. Again, there may be some modest adjustment to tax base yet again, because again, even though our ratios have improved because we did do a reassessment, every year now, I think we're 2 years past that reassessment, it starts to deteriorate. And by pure math, basically, the ratio, the equalized assessed values create a little mini market here for commercial tax appeals. So the mall, there's been nothing filed, nothing pending. Again, those will be filed between now and April 1st. So some more could come in, but the only one pending of any impact would be Raymore and Flanagan up here, and that's, I think, 2 years worth are under appeal. Will not have anywhere near the significance of, say, the Phillipsburg Mall, but there could be some adjustment there. Not a lot, but some. Other than that, it should be fairly quiet, at least for this budget.
Kevin, you have any idea what the way station brings in?
I think that was offline for so long.
Yeah.
And then they don't have, I didn't get the impression that they have much of a baseline on that.
Only open a couple days a month.
Yeah.
Well, the way I understood it was Greenwich had to do a lot of individual lobbying to the state and the state police to actually work it. So now there's 2 towns that conceivably will go and, try to get the state to turn it on. I mean, in our interest for the financial, I mean, because now we get 50% stake of whatever is brought in there. So that's a good point. And from what
Well, it's 50% for what, the first 3 years? Is that how it goes? The agreement with Greenwich Township?
well, no, was it 60?
Oh, 60/40 because of
Their judge.
In
And
our agreement with Greenwich?
Yeah.
See, the problem I think that you're going to run into, Chief, with the way station tickets is I
State
suspect
statutes.
they're the same as a state police issued ticket because the state police run the facility. So as Lorraine will tell you, in terms of revenue, when your department writes a ticket, we keep a much larger percentage of that ticket in-house. When the state police, or I think the same will be the same with the way station, when they write a ticket, like 90% of it goes to the state. So we do all the work processing their ticket and really keep
Inherently.
very little of it.
Yeah, but I would imagine those fines are probably thousands of dollars. Ours
Yeah,
are.
there'll be some revenue out of it, but not as much as you think. I think the state's going to not steal. They're going to take most of it.
What, Chief, do you know, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, so the state police administer that facility themselves, and the Greenwich police have no at all on that?
No. Nope.
I also was told, just by pure happenstance, I saw our prosecutor, Brett Morrow, incidentally, in the hallway, because he's upstairs in my building, and he commented that the state police tickets haven't really come back in the last year or two anyway. That he said that they're, at this court at least, our Blackburn court is not handling a lot of state police tickets.
Well, I don't think they
They just don't like over here anymore. They had kind of a dust up with the prior judge. It had nothing to do with our current personnel, and it's really never come back, as I understand it from our prosecutor.
Well, I just didn't know if the way station was going to open up.
Right.
Because I went past the other day and it was open, and I thought, wow, that's strange because you don't.
So the lights on.
And I thought maybe there was some kind of arrangement made with them where they were getting more personnel over there, because there's a ton of trucks that go up and down 78.
Well, they spent millions on it.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And just for the number of days it's open, it's just ridiculous.
Well, there was a wiring problem. That's what the whole problem was.
The only other thing I was going to suggest, Frank, too, and this ties into your point where you just rearranged our published work schedule, our meeting schedule. If you wanted to, you could throw in a few budget meetings into that published agenda without having to re-advertise those. I don't know if anybody has any interest in that, but
That's what we're doing right now.
Right, I'm saying that there's a couple more that you want to have special budget meetings because it is, so much punching to be done. Just a thought, you could throw those into that normal notice and then you don't have any cost of republishing. Whether it's, one more this month or one more next month or whatever.
I think to have
Throw
them,
that out.
you have them before the council meeting, people know when it is, that way it's not.
I think
Do
we're-
we have any idea how much we're going to get from the state?
Talking in terms of money or mandates?
Yeah, what, net positive or negative?
You'll get lots of them.
There was a time,
Negative, yeah, we're not getting anything from the state.
there was a time when they gave us money.
Yeah. Anyone else have any other questions for the chief, and just in reference to the overall police budget request? One more. So, I'll take advantage of your time. So highest we had was 16 officers, 15 on the road. What are we at 12 and a half, not to diminish Ed wherever he's a full man, wherever he is.
Yeah, we're at 12. We have
12?
12 full-time sworn off.
Plus we have a clerk.
Yes.
And one,
She
and
doesn't come under.
and a police clerk. and then
She's under ours.
She doesn't come under your contract.
Oh, not under the contract now.
Under budget item now.
Yeah, under the
Which,
budget.
under budget, yeah. Do you know, prior to the Alpha contract, what was our number then?
12, I
12.
believe.
Okay. Was that 2005 or 2006 when that was? I know.
2005 sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's around there somewhere.
Okay. All right. All right, well, I think speaking, we see what we're up against, where, what sacrifices and cuts you've already made, and we're going to see what other departments, what they're willing to do and where we're willing to look, and then we'll come up with where we've reached our gap at, and then we'll, assess the situation further once we see, where we kind of come up with, all the other cuts that we come up with the other departments and see what we have to do. But, I think this council knows what you've already given up, and I think your point about, what you inherited and what you were able to do and what you've been able to do with the little that, has been given to you in retrospect to other departments is, been excellent. And, I'm here to work with you, and you know that, and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
So, all right, we'll do public comment before executive session. So I believe we have some contractual and potential litigation items to discuss. So is there any general public comment? Anyone? Just when you come in, please sign your name in the paper, state your name, and sign into the sheet of paper there.
My name's Scott Robb.
Just speak into the mic so they can pick. Sorry.
Okay. And I am the representative for the Local 280, the union for the police officers. And I'm here to, we received a letter from the mayor and council via Mr. Benbrook on December 22nd, which was, by the way, 3 days prior to Christmas. And that letter stated that the town is in, has some financial issues, and as part of that, they were requesting that we look into maybe paid furloughs, demotions, time off without pay, so on and so forth, along with the possibility of opening up our contract. I'm here today to say that we're not opposed. I've asked the chief to have meetings with you guys, and I was told that we had to do it here at this venue because you guys wouldn't meet with us otherwise.
Well, no.
No.
If it's a quorum,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
In fact, I would say just the opposite, Scott. Let me just set the and as far as the timing of that letter, let me just indicate. And again, that letter was not sent in any form of threatening manner. What I advised the council, and I tried to be neutral when I drafted it, but what happens because we're both civil service and because you're collective bargained employees, we have certain requirements. And look, nobody likes to think about layoffs, but the requirement of the council, as I gave them legally, was, hey, it's a process, as you know, and if it ever gets to that point where you have to consider a layoff, we have an obligation under civil service and your contract to give you guys a notice, hey, it's something we'll at least have to possibly consider. If you guys have any thoughts on any of those, and none of those issues, layoffs, furloughs, demotions, it wasn't anything we were insisting upon or anything. It's just there's a variety of things you guys could consider. So I just want you to take it in that respect, that we're just trying to get a ball rolling in case, because we would have to submit a layoff plan to your collective bargaining, to you and your attorney, to civil service. It would all have to be approved, and it's quite a process. So it was simply an initial letter to get a process potentially rolling that everybody would hope doesn't happen, but we'll see. So I just take in that spirit, and also in terms of discussing this, we're wide open. In fact, I would recommend a subcommittee so we don't have to constantly advertise. That's not a problem at all.
And we totally understand the whole civil service process with having to do this is part one.
Part one.
This is
very preliminary.
Yep, you have to offer that paid furloughs and the demotions and everything else. We understand that.
Okay.
The thing that we don't understand is that we've been given a letter, okay? As part of that letter, it says that you guys have a deficit that you need to make up.
Right.
But in that, there was never figures given. Even if it's not concrete, there was nothing that was given to us. So as the union and in our perspective, we can't come up with anything if we don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah, not a problem. As I said, it's just a preliminary notice.
When there's not an answer from us,
Right.
it's not that we're not here to work. Listen, we don't want to, as the police department, we don't want to lose anyone, meaning layoffs.
Right.
We don't feel that it's fair to the township residents. If we lose 2 officers, that is going to have a huge factor on how we can police the residents of the township. For the simple fact of, we will have 1 person on shift at some times.
And I wasn't even
You will no longer have full-time investigators that will be able to come out and investigate the burglaries that violates people. These are things that I am asking council and mayor to consider, even though the budget's tight. And if there's anything that we can do, please come to us, ask us. And I just ask that instead of going through our chief, come to us. We will talk to you. We will sit down. We will try to work anything out if we can, if it's feasible, if it's there.
Absolutely.
We're not here. Yes, we all have families. We all have to make a living. We all have to go home to our spouses and our children and be able to provide for them. But we took this job for specific reasons, and those reasons are most of the people sitting here in the stands.
And I wasn't
We go out and we want to protect them.
Scott,
We want to serve them and serve them in the right way.
Comment.
I keep interrupting you, you're done, but I just want to say, I wasn't expecting any response to that letter yet, don't get me wrong, so.
Well, I do know that Mr. Becker was looking
Okay.
for a response.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
John,
I know.
yeah,
that's why we're here today to reply to the letter. And I don't want it to be adversarial. This isn't about a bickering match. I just want to let you know that our door is open. We are here to see what we can do. if there's anything that we can do. Unfortunately, if there's not, we don't know because we don't have figures. We don't have anything in front of us. We, as the union, will be hiring a forensic financial auditor. That is just protocol with the union, that they will be coming in and requesting some specific documents from the township, just because, listen, we have to make sure that it's right on our part too. So that financial auditor will come in and double check the books to make sure that what we're being told is 100% accurate. And at that point, they will advise us if that's something that's there. And they also look at it as, is there anything that they can come up with to help the township in maybe offsetting the deficit of the budget woes for the year 2015. So that's the big reason I'm here. That's the big reason I wanted to speak. That please, open door policy, come down. I'm there. I'm there Monday through Thursday every day from 7 to 5. Don't hesitate to come down. But I just wanted to give you fair warning too that we are hiring that forensic financial auditor, so there was no shock to the mayor, council, or Mr. Benbow.
And I think, Scott, what you heard the process, as I said, the chief, and it's not that, and also, by the way, just so you know, my office, for whatever reason, cannot email anybody with a township.org. That's why I had to send that directly to you through Wanda. So that's nothing.
And I can vouch for that for the road department because I was next door.
I can't do Donnie or anything.
From my phone,
Right. So
watching their computer screen, and nothing showed up.
it's an issue that.
So they do not get emails.
Yeah, it's. But in any event, I think you're.
I was there. I was in the road department, sent it right from my phone, standing over his computer, and refreshed, and nothing go through. I did it several times.
An issue we have to resolve. But I think what you're absolutely correct. As I said, it's just that I think I'm glad to hear that you took the letter for what it was. It's just a process, and I think I would recommend to the mayor and council that as you heard say, we just go to the chief to get O&E, which is really a relatively small part of your overall budget, and we'll do that everywhere and see where we can cut corners. Because you're right. I think at the end of the day, both you and every employee and the public and the mayor and council need to know. By just tightening belts, how close can we get to covering the deficit? And then whatever that number is, and again, absolutely whatever, anything that your forensic accountant wants is all operable anyway, so that's fine. It's better that everything's out there like that. And then once we know, though, about what the gap is, then everybody can sit down and say, hey, is there anything we can do short of the drastic, layoff issues that can be done to make the budget gap disappear?
And that's why
all we're trying to do in good faith, and that's all the letter was. Just the first step in the process. I sent it just to be conspicuously even with all collectively bargaining employees. I sent it to Don because he's the head of the collective bargaining union.
I just didn't want to speak on their behalf.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you applies to them too. It wasn't in any way sent other than as a preliminary step, just to make sure we can all go through this in an official process.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You mentioned my name. That's the first time I've heard that you were looking for a meeting with us, so I look forward to that, and I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Jim Crilly. I live on Parkside Ave. This is the first time I've ever been to a council meeting here. I heard there's some grumblings about what's going on with the police department budget cuts. My reason for sitting here right now is my belief that the number one priority for the council is public safety. Making budget cuts, I mean, they only have 12 guys now on the road. I mean, that to me, that's you're shorting the town or the township. I think they need more guys on the road. I'm sure they're busy as heck. I don't know what their call volume is or whatnot, but I'm just here to tell you I've been a victim of a crime. My house was burglarized on Parkside. I don't know if you remember.
I remember.
Remember Mr. Greenmeyer, Chief Greenmeyer, was a sergeant at the time, came to my house, investigated it, and caught the guy with the help of Phillipsburg. And I'm just here to say, number one priority for you guys on council, mayor, all of you, public safety. So when you consider your budget cuts, make sure that's your number one priority. You guys were doing it before the red light cameras. I don't understand how the budget changed that much that you guys can't afford cops now. I guess if they do this forensic audit, they'll find out where the money's going. The money from the red light cameras, we'll all find out. We'll see what's going on. But I just want you guys all to know that from being a resident and being a victim of a crime, that for them to solve that crime, that meant the world to me. Gave me peace of mind. And I just want you guys to all consider what you're doing when you consider cutting your police, because they are the ones that are keeping us safe. All right? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Anthony Goodell, 313 Ohio Avenue. I heard some of the rumors going around through neighbors that there might have been some layoffs and some budget problems. And Mr. Becker, you had confirmed some of those with the budget, and also that we possibly could be looking at some cuts with officers. And also I heard that there might be some cuts with the fire department budget. I don't know if that one was true, but that's something else I was concerned about, and possibly laying off some of the other township employees. So what I wanted to do is just voice my opinion as a resident, is to follow up what this gentleman said, is that public safety of our residents, which is us, my kids, people sitting in this room, is number one. And it would be a huge mistake to compromise my kids for a budget. And number two is that when you talk about laying people off, you're messing with people's lives, okay? People that work for the township have families as well. So when you send these letters out, and I do understand that these letters are just a standard that you have to do, you are sending a message to families, husbands, wives, and their children that there could be a layoff. And to do that at Christmas time, to me, is very, that's hurtful for a family to have to do that. I understand that today everybody's doing more with less. That's the way it is around everywhere. We have to make cuts. But I'm on board with the gentleman who was just up here. You cannot make cuts to the safety of this community. We need these cops. We need the fire department. We need the road department out there making them streets safe for not only my family, but everyone here. So when we talk about cuts, I think we need to look at everything as a whole, okay? We need to start looking at every department, and I know it's just a matter of a piece of paper saying that it's in the works, but before you send that message out to families that put their lives on the line for all of us at Christmas time, we need to rethink things on how we're going to proceed. Now, as Mr. Becker, I do agree with you that we have some of the best officers in the state working for Powhatan. I worked there one time, and I truly believe I know that. Where I disagree with you is that as far as this money coming in, this revenue for the state, for our township, that there's none left, that we're losing it, and we're losing it at a big volume. The reason I say that is because it's no secret that Powhatan has some of the highest taxes in the state, okay, and that is as a fact, okay. So the revenue is coming out of everybody's pocket that's fueling the township, and I know that some cuts have got to be made. But to sit there and to say that we have no revenue, we do. We have a lot of revenue coming in, and that's coming from the taxpayers. Now, I have no problem paying some of the highest taxes in the state because I know at the end of the day, my family's safe. And that's why part of the reason I'm here, living in this town. So don't do that to my family. Don't do that to the residents' family. And don't do that to the families that are serving and protecting by telling them they might lose their jobs. And with that, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
He addressed me again. I mean, can I comment here? Or?
Let me just get the public portion. Any other public comment? Oh, sorry.
Won't take long. Although I am pretty winded. Bob Sickles. Shacktown Road, I'm sure you all know me. A lot of people do. Not that that matters. I see a problem here. You're telling me there's no revenue, okay. But then there seems to be a lack of communications here. Mr. Group didn't know that he was supposed to present something tonight, okay. You're sending out letters. All right, Kevin, I understand there's a mandate that has to be done. I understand all that, okay. But there can be communications before that. We've got a lack of communication here. Okay, if we're in dire straits like you say we are, which I don't know whether we are or not, all right, this is the first I'm hearing about it. This isn't something new, okay? And don't tell me that, oh, you don't make every meeting. No, because things circulate. That's why all these people are sitting here. People say things, they talk, okay? It doesn't just come out all of a sudden that, oh, we're in dire straits. This isn't something new. Now, we have until July to figure this out. So it's good that we're starting now, all right, but we need more dialogue, people. You can't just come up and say, oh, we're possibility of layoffs or whatever, okay? And what I saw here tonight, we need more dialogue. And things need to be more open than what they are. I applaud you for what Chief Greenmeyer and Mr. Becker were doing tonight as far as his budget goes. That's the first I've seen that. But we need more of that. All right? There doesn't seem to be any communication here, people. That's what we need to get this problem solved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other thing. I pay taxes in this township, and I expect certain services, and I don't want to cut. If that means a tax increase, that's fine, okay? But there's reasons why this isn't Eastern Pennsylvania and somebody being shot every 3 days, okay? There's reasons why I work with people from Pennsylvania, and the first thing they say to me in a snowstorm, oh, how are the roads coming in? Well, until I got to Jersey, I was all over the place. Once I got to Jersey, the roads were great. There's reasons for that. I don't want to lose that. That's why I pay taxes. That's why I live here. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name's Sonny Wilson. I live on Ohio Avenue. I've been in Shimer Manor for 40 years. I wholeheartedly agree with what previous speakers have said about the safety of the township and the residents. But I was a New Jersey State Trooper for 26 years. So from the other side, if you start cutting back, think of the safety of the officers involved. It's no good to have one patrol out, especially in a large township. You need backups. You need somebody to be there if that other police officer needs help. There's no reason that you can't have more than 2 cars. Cohascon's a large township. If you have an officer in Rigglesville and something's happening in Shimer Manor, it takes quite a while to get there, obviously. So without any further ado, I just wanted to let you know, from my side, spending 26 years, firsthand knowledge and experience, think of the safety of the police officer also, not just the resident of the township. Very important. They want to go home to their families. We've seen what's happened in New York City different places. So not only the residents of the township, the police officer himself. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Jerry Kern. I guess we didn't learn a whole lot here tonight, other than I guess the council reached out, maybe not in the right manner. But the only thing we do know tonight is we have a big problem, and no one here can say that they don't know about it now. I don't know, in some of the comments I heard, if people think the money is being taken somewhere else or what, but there's a budget shortfall, meaning a lot of revenue that used to come in is not coming in anymore. We got comfortable with living with a lot of things that we had in this town that we somehow paid for by increasing taxes. I know how much my taxes have gone up in the 30 years I've been living here. And if we didn't raise or have any more police officers, they would continue to go up because there's raises, insurance goes up, police cars go up. So the cycle can't keep going. We're at that point. Now we all know. So there's not money to pay. If I understand it correctly, there's a cap. We can only raise it even if we want to a certain point. But from what I understand, we're still 600,000 short. So, you know, maybe we all enjoy 2 police officers. I'd probably prefer 3. But if our town can't afford it, what are we to do? I think this comes to the hard questions we all been saying, you know, and I appreciate the council and all the departments working hard trying to cut what they can. But I think we're still at a level of what we've been in the past 30 years of trying to cut little things, what we think we can get by with. But I think we're way past that, unfortunately. You know, when you go buy a truck, everybody wants to get the best truck, but you don't get that truck because you can't afford it. At some point, we've found out now we can't afford it as much as we want it. And that goes for safety too. If anyone thinks that I don't want my family protected by the best, and I think we have one of the best police departments, they're wrong. I do. But at what point can't we afford it? We're to that point. It's kind of a moot point here talking about it because the money's not there. Things are going to change here whether we all know it or not, but we got to figure out who's going to make the change. All the police know we can't afford this. They should know from listening to this, and all the other departments. So there's going to be some big changes and big things are going to have to happen here. Otherwise, where does the money come from? Can the town file bankruptcy? How does that work? So, you know, no one wants to see the changes. I certainly don't. I appreciate all the services that I've had in the past. But things changed, the costs went up, and we can no longer afford it at the population that we have in this town. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hi, I'm Rennie Melvin, Winters Road. Maybe I'm speaking as a woman, but from my perspective, I also hope that you all will really take consideration in the value of our police department. You know, we take it for granted that, you know, nothing's ever going to happen. Things are just going to go along until it does happen. And I want to commend our police department. We had an incident a few months back, and they went out of their way to make sure that we were informed every day. The chief had called me every day to keep me apprised of what was happening, and they did find the person that had done the damage to our property, and we got that resolved very quickly, and I felt very confident in what they had done.
We did have a fire at our home a few years ago, and with the police department and the fire department, they were there within about 7 minutes, and were able to make sure that we were safe and everything was okay, and I really do appreciate that. I want you to know that I realize the cost, but what is the cost of our lives? And to me, that's so much more important than, you know, I worry about our taxes. You know, I worry that they're high, but I would rather pay my taxes to know that we're secure and we're safe in this town than to actually pay all the money that we do pay to the school. I just read an article on the school boards and the school in the state of New Jersey, and our school didn't make the top 100. They didn't make the top 300. So we are investing a lot of money in things such as solar panels and you know, things that I'm not quite sure that we have to push it to that limit. And I know that doesn't just have to do with us, it has to do with the school board, but I hope you will take into consideration and do not lay off any of our police officers in this town. I think it's too important.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Robert Wojcik, 796 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, I'm new to this process, and I just found out about the potential shortfall in our budget, which is approximately $1 million. Now, based on what I've heard about the different odds and ends of the budget, where we can cut equipment and such, it doesn't seem like it's going to make much of a difference. So from what I understand, we're talking about layoffs. Now, I know our police force is the best our money can buy, but I think $1 million is a long way in buying a lot of people. And I don't think they're making, you know, that much money. So are we talking about laying off the entire police force, the entire staff of Powhatan? And how is that our security concerns going to be addressed by that? Are we talking about bringing in state police again, like we did a number of years ago? So how would we be patrolling our streets, maintaining our roads? I don't mind paying extra if I know that I'm getting the service. So $1 million in budget cuts, only thing that means is we have no staffing of any kind anywhere. I'm not a great mathematician, but unless somebody can tell me where I'm wrong, where did all that money go that we had for all those years with red light? Were they just used every year for budgetary constraints? And like other gentlemen has mentioned, how come has this not been addressed and made public in a year ago that we were running this short and this tight? Because this is the first I hear of all of these problems. And evidently, again, as other people have mentioned, there's a lack of communication everywhere, and including with the public. I think the public will be more than willing to pay extra if they know what the situation was, and maybe even offer suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My name is Gwen Hebner. My husband is one of Powhatan's police officers. I'm also a business owner in the township. I do feel that your budget cuts are directly going to affect the police department in the most part than any other things. There are areas that you can cut besides them. You're putting a dollar amount on somebody's life, whether it's my husband who has to work alone or another officer who has to work alone, or a child that could be choking, drowning, anything where any assistance is needed, you're putting a dollar figure on their life. It's not fair for anyone in the township that lives in the township, that works in the township, to have that done. I don't think anyone sitting up there has ever been given that right to say somebody is worth $100,000 or that person's only worth $32,000. And that's the impression that you're giving to just about everybody in the room. So that's it.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
I'm Mike Lelko. I live on 99 Cemetery Road. I have to agree with what most of the people say here, also about the police department and the road department. I do know that people coming from Pennsylvania don't have the roads cleared like Powhatan Township does. Coming off the mountain, I know that they're there on the mountain first thing in the morning or first time when it snows or sleets. Trying to get down the mountain either way on Cemetery or Mountain Road is pretty treacherous, especially with a newborn son also. Second thing is the police department. There's a reason why I moved to Powhat. I could have moved to Easton, Allentown, Bethlehem. If you have to raise the taxes, raise the taxes. But I'd rather be safer than not safer and living within the area. So when people move around and look for a place to settle down, you know, you have to kind of consider that also. So it'd be a lot safer living in Powhat than, say, Allentown or Bethlehem area, which most people that pay the taxes within the town could possibly move out and move elsewhere. But there's a reason why they live here within the town. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. We have to go into executive session.
Do we get a chance to address some of the questions that were raised? I'd like to, there were some questions raised, so I'd like to, or comments made. We have a.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like, yeah.
I appreciate everybody's comments, and I appreciate your, what you're saying, and I value the police, and I value, and it's not just the police that, we're expecting to have to cut budgets on. There's a few comments that each individual made that, they're all valid and good comments. They're all, I appreciate hearing all of them. Starting with Scott Robb, I appreciate that you're willing to work with us to see where we can work together to make the best of a bad situation. I actually, when I ran for office, I ran on transparency, so I welcome your outside audit of our financials. We already do audit them. We have an outside audit, but another set of eyes. If you can find something that we're missing, I welcome it. I hope we're missing $600,000 worth, but I welcome it. Everybody can have a good idea. There were some comments about this is not new. I think it was Mr. McAleer said we can communicate better. We can always communicate better. I try to be as, and I think we all do, try to be as transparent as we can. We have had meetings. We've had meetings before about how high the taxes were, and we've had meetings before about the budget challenges. And I was quoted in the paper saying we have to make hard choices, and I was lambasted by Senator Dougherty as saying shame on Powhatan. because we have to make hard choices. What is new, the comment was it's not new. Things change. We had a contract for the red light camera revenue through 2015. If it had my druthers, I'd continue it because that money was used for safety. It was used to afford the police we have now and the road department we have now, which is also part of safety because the roads are clean. It was revenue that was used for safety. Some people argue whether it should write on red is safety or not, but you can argue that, but that the accidents were down because of the red light cameras. And the revenue was up because of the red light cameras. So the new thing is that we had a contract through 2015 for red light revenues, and we lost it because the state didn't renew them. And the state's good at giving us mandates about what we have to have, like we have to have a woman's locker room downstairs, but we don't have any for women police, even though we don't have any women police. Even though there's one woman police in the whole county, we have to have a women's locker room. Those are kind of the things that we have to face. The communications, I'm sorry about the screw up with the DPW. I think there was a communication that was sent to somebody, but apparently it wasn't confirmed or it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that we're not going to communicate. We just said we'd have it next meeting. We've tried to communicate. We have these meetings every month, twice a month usually. And there's usually the same 5 people coming to them. I appreciate that you're here tonight. I think it's a healthy thing that you're here tonight. I welcome your comments. Sonny Wilson, I spoke to while I was campaigning on Ohio Avenue. State Police, I welcome your perspective about the backup of police. It's nice to have backup. I have a question for you about the State Police. Can they help us on Route 22? I mean, it's a state highway. I haven't seen the State Police on there in years. Jerry Kern, I think, made some one of the best comments in the sense that you're acting like, people don't need to understand that it's arithmetic and we don't have a choice in some of these decisions that we have to make because we have a cap on how much we can increase our taxes. We have a practical choice in that people can't afford our taxes because they're some of the highest in the state, and the state has some of the highest taxes in the nation, and people are moving out of the state because their houses are getting foreclosed on because they can't afford their taxes. But even if we chose to and wanted to pay more in taxes, there's a cap. There's a hard stop on how much we can raise taxes. And that's a state mandate. I happen to agree with it, but I can also understand why some people and many people would choose to pay more for more. And I respect that. Rennie's comment about the value of our police department, I agree with you. I value our police department. I value our firefighters. And the school, I agree with your comments about why we're spending so much on solar panels. And I said that at the school board. But we don't have control over the school board. All we can do is go to those meetings, like you're coming to these meetings. And I've gone to those meetings and complained about that. For what we pay for the schools, we should have much better results. I agree with that. But that's not in our purview here. I don't put a value on a police officer's life. I mean, who's to say that one life is worth more than another? I don't know how anybody understands that I'm putting or we are putting a value on a police officer's life when we say we can afford 11 and not 12, or 12 and not 13. That's not saying that we don't value that 13th officer's life or all those other officers' lives. It's just arithmetic. What we can do with what we got. I mean, I appreciate your comments. We don't take these steps lightly. We didn't. We've thought long and hard about different ways we can approach this, and we will continue. And that's why we're having this meeting. That's why we're inviting people to speak. That's why we invited people to speak. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think the most important aspect of this whole process is that each year this township has started earlier and earlier in our budget process. Our budget, I don't think, has to be ratified until July. So I don't think there's towns in this area that have even looked at their 2015 budget yet. We are starting this process very early. This is our first public meeting on the matter. So contrary to amount of officers or what departments or what's this and that, there's no proposed budget that the town has introduced yet. So these are the first dialogues that we're having, and we're going to continue to have those discussions in public as long as there's a quorum. We welcome the opportunity to sit down and meet with the police department to find out ways, and every other department that we're going to be doing in the future. And I think everyone up here takes everyone's comments to heart and takes them with great respect, because this is a very small community. A lot of people know everybody in this room, and at the end of the day, what we have to do is keep what makes Powhatan special, and that's what, the 5 of us up here are elected by you to make those decisions. So we've heard you, and we will continue to move forward with this budget process, and anytime that there is a meeting, you're more than welcome to attend and make your statements like you did tonight. So.
Well, and personally, if there's anybody, sometimes if you think out of the box, or, not everybody here is a police person. So maybe there's an idea that you have, something to suggest in terms of, well, why don't you look here or look there or something like that. I would love to hear that. And I'm not saying it's going to be feasible or that it'll work. There might be some law against it or something, or regulation, but still, to have that kind of input, all your brains working, could help solve the problem.
Take an idea now.
Well,
public
after public.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say anything. The thing of it is we all pay taxes, and they said what? The average is $135,000 for assessment. Gee, I wish I knew what their taxes were, because I know what mine are at my assessment. It's killing me. But I'm willing to pay more taxes. But the only other thing is, we have sewer bills. We pay a $50 a quarter fee. Is there any way to get everybody to pay a fee quarterly or something to add to the money without getting everybody's higher end taxes going way up and the lower end taxes not going up as much, so the higher end people are paying more than the others? Make it equal. Make it equal to everybody. I mean, we pay a $50 maintenance fee for our sewer bills every quarter. That's, everybody pays that, the same amount. It's not adjusted by your assessment. It's equal.
I understand what you're saying, but in part of our township, nobody has sewer or septic. They have a well and septic systems. They don't have sewer. They don't have water, city water. So
that's what I'm saying. Okay, but what the people that do, I'm not saying that's where it's going to come from, but assess everybody in the township that pays taxes the same amount of money, instead of saying, well, you're assessed at 200 and some thousand, you're going to pay more than the other guy to help this out. You're pushing me out of the township. I'm on a fixed income now. I'm retired, and the state of New Jersey will not give me a COLA anymore. I don't make any more money anymore. My taxes keep going up, and my wages don't. Sooner or later, I'm going to have to get out of Powhatan because I'm not going to be able to afford it.
Same here.
But if everybody pays the same amount, I wouldn't have a problem.
I think it's an idea, but we are forced by law to tax a certain way through assessment. And with the 2% property tax cap, we can't go above the 2% cap for municipal wides. Yeah.
You're allowed to search.
Charge a maintenance fee for one thing, charge a maintenance fee for another. Make everybody pay the same. Can I just follow up with Mr. Becker's?
No, we're not. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you had a chance to respond.
No, it's one public comment, sir. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. If you have a public comment, please come up to the.
Yeah, Wayne Barsany, I've been a resident 37 years. I think what the gentleman's trying to say about the SOAR thing, and it's a good time to bring it up with the budget. We live in the upper end and we have a SOAR bill, and we pay it every month and quarter. In the lower end, you don't have SOARs. Where does all the money go that goes in that SOAR budget? Is it used for anything else in the township other than SOAR or escrow?
It can't be statutorily. It has to be what's called a self-liquidating utility. So other than a modest surplus, that has to, again, be used. And again, sometimes we try to get creative. Like I think Donnie, the sewer camera, by way of example, we've bought vehicles. I think that where in part we can allocate a portion of that vehicle's use to the sewer budget, we will use sewer revenue. But by and large, anything that's generated through a sewer fee or a user fee, the gentleman referenced user fees, and there were townships. Oxford's one I represented at one point in time, where the 2% cap came up, and they said, well, geez, let's raise the garbage collection fee. That's been kind of frowned upon, first of all, by the state, but secondly, here in your township, you really don't have a municipal-wide service which you could append a fee to. So you're not going to be able to take from the sewer budget to help balance the general revenue budget, number one. And most of that revenue, frankly, don't forget, we really pass most of that through to Phillipsburg, because we get a rather large bill from that.
Yeah, but if you look at the budget, there's salaries in that budget for sewer and all.
Well, we try.
Anybody works on a sewer department.
Sewer collector.
Right. There's one position other than the road department, the sewer. That's a statutory position which we have to have, which we, I think, over the years cut that budget down substantially by several thousand to a very small number. Other than that, as I said, obviously our own DPW does do work on the sewers, so we are able to statutorily allocate a portion of their salaries, wages, and O&E
Vehicles.
to the sewer budget and have that help the general budget.
But that's only the people that are paying a sewer bill are paying that bill, and those people are being used throughout the whole township all year.
Well, that's why only a portion of what they do is allocate to sewer, because the rest are doing outside of sewer issues. So most of their budget is paid for by everybody.
If you look at the budget, it's an awful lot of money that goes out of that sewer thing to other things in this township.
And I think Mr. Becker, and I know I've been there at times, you have to understand the sewer budget and what we end up having to collect is very much generated by the town of Phillipsburg. That's not a regional sewer authority, so we have zero vote on that. We've gone there with other sending districts, Greenwich, Lopat, every other meeting, it seems, over there. They want to raise the assessments. Greenwich Township right now, I believe, is in litigation with Phillipsburg over some of those issues and what they're passing through of their budget to us. And
we've been in litigation with them also.
And we have been in that litigation with them previously, but
it's like the high school, they can pay, charge what they want.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's the question. There's only 850 people paying their sewer bill in this township, and a lot of that money is being used for other things.
It's not
in the budget.
Okay. It's not accurate, but that's. Is there any other public comment? Yes, sir.
A great comment that I've made in the past about revenue sources. And my name is Enrique Hernandez. Even though the township had a assessment recently. I was under the impression, I'm still under the impression that that assessment was inadequate, and that in fact there are many properties that are underassessed. And so one possibility, I don't know if that's feasible, would be to have a reassessment of property as a way of looking at a potential revenue source.
How often can we do a reassessment? Is it 3 years
Well,
or 5?
Statutorily, we're supposed to do a reevaluation once every 6 years. As a practical matter, no township in the state does that because it's a fairly expensive undertaking. Newark didn't do one for 20 years, I don't think, until they were forced to by the courts, by way of example. But we actually didn't do a reevaluation last time. We did what's called a reassessment, which is a little bit different animal. It's much less expensive. I mean, a full-blown reevaluation, you're talking 6 figures. And again, with a budget crisis, I don't think that's something you want to look at, Dr. Hernandez. But as far as I know, I mean, the general problem is twofold. Number one, this state, and I have ICL compliance where I have to go get 24 credit hours to maintain my license. And you go to seminar after seminar, whether it's COA or this or that. And the fundamental problem is that this whole state is derived on property tax revenue, and it's not an equitable or fair or proper way to generate school revenue or anything. The whole system is tilted, but that has to be fixed in Trenton. And then in the meantime, we get stuck with it. As Frank said, we lost a year's worth of contract revenue out of the red light. It was told, oh, don't worry about it. It's going to be extended, the pilot program. There was a lot of lobbying efforts by the red light camera people, and its abrupt termination is rather a shock to the system. From a real estate tax standpoint, I think we're probably reasonably fairly assessed at this point, but the problem is, your single biggest taxpayer in this town was the Bohatcon Mall. A few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, that mall was assessed at just the Bohatcon portion was $60 million, the Phillipsburg Mall, excuse me. 60 million, just the 3/4 of that's in Bohatcon, a third of it's in Lopat, and they were assessing it at another 20 million. So you're talking about a facility that was totally assessed in 2 townships, like $80 million. Well, it sold for 11, and we ended up negotiating 5 years worth of tax appeals where there was probably a potential for $4 or $5 million worth of tax refunds. We got away from it for the low 7 figures, like $1.2 million, which was, I thought, a tremendous savings. But the bottom line is it's not only repaying the tax overpayment, is that going forward, when these guys have to do their budgets, we're now collecting taxes on a facility that's being assessed at 20, not 60 anymore. It's a huge, enormous tax hit. It'll be years, given the economy in this state, because we're dragging behind half the rest of the country because, of various policy decisions, not that they're made here, they're made in Trenton, but it's a real problem. And as you said, and I think what Mr. Becker has said, what happens is Governor Christie, when he took office, he did a bunch of things. One of the things he introduced was that 2% tax cap. So I think what you're hearing is we have a deficit. We're going to do the best we can to talk to the chief, talk to the DPW, talk to professionals. We limit all of our professional service contracts and everything for years have been frozen, so on and so forth. You do the best you can to get your expenses down, then you look at that gap, then you add in, okay, we can collect, if we collected $1 million, we can only collect 2% over that million this year. That's a pretty small number. So I think what you're hearing is as Frank is saying, the arithmetic very simply is by statute and by law, and there's no relief. There was never built into the legislation any relief from the 2% tax cap levy. It's a hard cap. There is no exception to it. Was not built into the legislation. So at the end of the day, if we can't close the gap with everybody tightening their belt, there's limited options. It's not that it wasn't planned for. It's just that a lot of things are snowballing and hitting all at the same time. And I don't really think this township or many other townships could do much to get away from it. It's not a municipal problem from my perspective. And I've been representing you guys here for many, many years. I do think it's a great township, and I know some of the police personally and hunt with at least one of them once in a while when I can get out, and it is a great town. It's a great department. I live right next door in Franklin. I grew up in Blairstown. I'm a Warren County guy. This is not a Warren County problem. It's a leadership deficit at Trenton, and it's been going on for
years and years and years until they solve it. That's where we're at. I don't mean to go off like that, but it's just, I feel for you guys because I represent other townships, and this one is a particularly dicey issue this year because of the loss of red light camera revenue. But believe me, you guys are not alone. With health insurance and this and that goes up, that these are cost controls that you have no control over. And the state aid out here, all the state aid goes to the urban centers. I mean, we get pennies back on the dollar for what you guys send down there. I mean, what's our state aid? I think, Lorraine, you did a great pie chart when we did the introduction last year. The pie on our state aid is going like this. It's nothing anymore. It's terrible. All of our state police tickets, 90% of every ticket that we have to process here and pay our judges and prosecutors and our police to watch over the court. It's a state police ticket. 90% of the revenue goes to Trent. What they do with it, I don't know. That's really where everybody needs to be, I think, is sitting down there seeing what they do. And I'd love to have Scott's auditor down there auditing their budget. It's just ridiculous. That's my 2 cents. Sorry about that.
Any other public comment? No comment. Yeah, I know.
Sean Carmody, 27 Manor Road. There's a perspective that hasn't made it to the table here tonight, and I think it should. Working in Phillipsburg, we have a 36-man department. In November, we shot and killed a guy with 4 guys on scene. Our Public Works Department years ago had the prisoners from Warren County Jail come and work with our Public Works collecting garbage. We received intelligence from the jail that those people that were working with our garbage collectors were collecting data, where all the police officers lived, where the rich people lived. They had all this information, and when they had their visitation, they were giving it out. Now, separate from that, the criminals think. They have a strategy. I've had a criminal, anyone on Manor Road here has had a criminal living across the street from us because he has a heroin addiction. And he's broken in, his friends have broken in. Somebody mentioned that they were a victim of a crime. That same suspect burglarized my property as well. And Poe had it scooped up and had him in jail pretty quickly, with our help, of course, from Phillipsburg, but we're not always going to be there. But the criminals, they have a strategy. And when this makes the paper that you're going to reduce the police force, it may have an impact. I'm not saying it will have an impact, but it may. And I don't know if anyone up there, I know people here have said they've been victims of crimes. I've been investigating crimes for 25 years. I've been in the households with husbands and wives where the husbands' wives were raped. And it's a reality. We have a corridor of 22 and Route 78. The criminals that come from the city jump into little towns like this, commit their crimes, and they get on the interstate and they're gone before we even know that happened. If we're lucky, somebody saw something and we can catch those criminals. But if you're going to reduce the police department by 2 men, which I don't know what their salaries and total cost for the town is, if it's $150,000 for both of them, is that around the ballpark with medical and everything?
No, that's half.
One for each.
That's one. All right, so you have $900,000. You're going to reduce that debt by $300,000. The crime may go up, and where are you going to be in a year or two? You're going to be pulling the police department back and adding to the ranks because you have to defeat the crime. Studies have been done. There is an officer to population ratio. I don't know if mayor and council have even looked at that to see where Cohasset Township falls. Before the red light cameras, before Alpha's money coming in, when you took over Alpha, you had 12 officers. You made it. Then all that money from Alpha, all the money from the red light cameras, any grant money. In the beginning of the meeting, you talked about having a grant writer. Who writes the police department's grants?
I do.
You do. But we're paying a grant writer to pull money in for the town. Police department's part of the town. That's their livelihood. They know where the grant money is. He shouldn't be tied up writing grants when you have a grant writer on the payroll. And there's a lot of money out there.
It's not on the payroll. We pay her an hourly fee.
Okay, we have a grant writer that pulled over $1 million for us. We're going on year 2 with that same dollar amount. The money's out there. It can be researched and it may be able to be obtained. But going back to my original comments, we all live in Powhatan.
if we weaken our police department and the criminals use their strategy, they're going to come into our town. Now, one of the ugliest aspects of crime, and Phillipsburg has 2 file drawers packed solid with Megan Law sex offenders. Powhatan, according to the website, as of 2 weeks ago, had 0. Do we want them here? They're disgusting people. And if you're willing to make that sacrifice for $300,000 and victimize one child, because now the fear of Powhatan, and Powhatan's small compared to Phillipsburg, but they have a reputation. They solve their crimes. They prevent their crimes, and that's important. Because the criminals don't care if they go to jail. Free food, free lodging, free education. They get the best gym facilities, and they get healthy and they get educated. All on our dime again. But when they're on the street, I don't know if you had the crimes. We get them all the time. People break into houses while you're sleeping upstairs. They go into your basement. You wake up in the morning and water's running and filling up your basement because they cut out all your copper. You don't know they're there. You're violated. They're in your house. What if they want to do more than steal your copper? Have you had that type of crime?
Not when it was occupied. All the houses for sale,
Chief,
copper's gone.
I'm sorry. It's only a matter of time before they realize which houses they're going to get into. It's going to happen. We've had over 100 in 2 years. And that's a very reserved number. Just food for thought. Don't be a victim. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none. Go into executive session for contractual and litigation, which should be probably 45 minutes to an hour, and action may or may not be taken. So is there a motion for executive session?
Second.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
I gave my public enemy number 1 a thank you. Oh, my God.
Merry Christmas.
Want to have a motion to resume the regular?
Farmers only?
I'll make that motion.
Yes.
Second.
That's where I got my last statement.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Kevin, you want to?
We need a motion to establish 2 negotiating subcommittees to go over budget and outstanding contract issues. First for the DCA would be
No, not the.
I'm sorry, for DPW would be Dave and Frank, and with respect to the police department, the PBA, that would be Mary and the mayor. We need a motion to establish those 2.
I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
And Kern?
Yes.
And we need a motion to obtain market appraisals from at least 2 local brokers with respect to the potential sale of the Shimer School property.
I'll move that.
Second.
It's supposed to be commercial.
Should I second
Yes,
that?
there'll be commercial.
Sal,
brokers.
you can second it.
Thank you.
You can have it.
Okay, Becker?
I want that one.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes, sold to the guy in the hat.
Get rid of that headache.
Housekeeping matter, I'm going to be sending, because I did do that letter that was discussed at length tonight to the DPW and to the police department. I did not do it to the construction department, and that certainly also, that department could be impacted. So I will do those. I don't think I need a motion from you guys on that, but just for the record, that was discussed in
I'll
executive
move
session.
it.
Yeah, let's do a motion. I think we did motions for the other
So
one.
motion to,
I just moved it.
Second.
Becker?
Yes.
Slack?
Yes.
Van Loo?
Yes.
Angeli?
Yes.
Kern?
Yes.
other than that, I don't think there's any official action that we need to take. discuss executive session unless there's something I missed.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Rewords, Henry Rewords.
Henry, yep. That's exactly, tell him we need to get.
I can see him at church Sunday, I'll say so.
Fine, I'm representing.
Yeah, he comes down to see me.
I'm so pissed off. Henry,
You
because I know Jeff.